Okay, so the question to all of you is this. Do you think a robot will replace your job, right? So there's a lot in the news about artificial intelligence, amazing things, your phone can do and computers can do. They can listen and we can talk to it, and we have all these capabilities. So with this hype, we also have a lot of discussion around intelligent robots actually eventually doing a lot of the jobs we do today, somewhat make us redundant. And when we talk about robots, we don't really think of them as these mechanical monsters that chug along, but these things are already here, right? We are using a lot of these things already, and some of it we don't know that we are using it. So let's just say this morning you woke up and you said, hey, Alexa, what is the weather going to be like? Or you said, hey, Siri, give me driving directions to come to this meeting. You're actually talking to a robot. And there is a robot that is doing some work for you, right? So when we refer to robots, we kind of look at it as these smart machines, complex software that is written to do things that we humans normally do. Not just manual work, right, that we were kind of used to getting automation to do, but actually white-collar thinking work is getting done by these robots. But since the beginning of time, we've always used tools to do things, right, to make our jobs easier, to get tasks done. So this is nothing new, right? We've used mechanical power to kind of substitute for physical labor with tractors and things like that. And over time, what computer programs have done is it has helped us to make processes better, eliminate human error, eliminate, kind of repetitive, mundane work. But as we've got better with these things, we've also started getting the use of computers to make our transactions faster and bring more efficiency, reduce costs. Amazon is a great example of how they've used a lot of these technologies to basically redefine the way we shop and buy things and sell things. So the question is, over time, and I don't mean just with these robots, but have we seen a net gain in jobs, or have we seen a net loss in jobs, right? And the reality is we have seen generally a gain in jobs. The percentage of adults in the labor markets now are higher than 100 years ago. If you think of bank tellers, there are more bank tellers now than when the automated teller machine, the ATM machine, was implemented, right? So that has grown, doubled in size. In the 1900s, 40% of our labor was in farming and agriculture. Today we have 3%. And more food is being produced, we're also eating a little more than we need as well. So there are two fundamental principles we look at, right? One is that we all work within a process, right? Within a bunch of steps. So I'll use real estate as an example. In that process, for example, we have multiple meetings and people involved, payment systems, events just to sell a house or buy a house, right? It is not just a one-task thing. There are many things, many people involved. And if you talk to people in that industry, a lot of them will agree that there are a lot of steps there that can be eliminated and automated, and obviously there will be job loss there. But the interesting thing is when we do look at a process, we can't just say because we eliminate some of those that the remaining manual tasks are less important. Actually, it is the opposite. The remaining manual tasks become more important and the economic value becomes greater. Kind of what happened with the bank tellers. Bank tellers are not what they used to be 20, 30 years ago. They are salespeople now that are selling products, right? So kind of what is interesting is that these changes can affect you if you're in that process and your job can get eliminated. But you might also be that person whose job is enhanced, right? There is more value in your job. So the second principle really is good old greed. And remember, there is never enough of things that we need. right? So the good thing is all this automation has also created a whole lot of free time for us that have been now filled with new things. There are things that our parents never did that we do today and we pay for, right? Services that we use today. And what's interesting is if you think about the internet and phones and all that, there are jobs that we didn't even imagine that existed that would like 2-3 years ago. I mean, there are people today that are making money selling emojis. Who would ever think that was possible, right? So there are new jobs that get created. Never get enough. So that is the two kind of principles that affect work. But also though, the rate of change of implementing this technology is much slower than we believe it to be. Think about it. We still do cash transactions. We send fax machines. We sign paper forms, right? So change doesn't happen that fast. And on top of it, we have regulation. We have powerful business interests that don't want change, or they want certain things kept certain ways. So change will take time to come. Now, there are concerning trends, and we won't get into that in this discussion, but economists call it the employment polarization, where we see middle-class jobs getting squeezed, and the concern is the value of those middle-class jobs are diminishing. So that is concerning. Now, with the technology and automation, we now do a lot more than prior generations do. Now, your parents might always say, you're a bunch of lazy people and we did more. But the reality is we do a lot more than prior generations, right? And and our standard of living is far better. So what is interesting is if we want to have the standard of living of like 100 years ago, we actually would only need to work about 17 weeks of the year, about 1/3 of the time. If we bring people from the 1900s to our current economy, most of them are not going to be employable. They won't be knowledgeable. They won't have the education and the skill set to do the work. So, so the interesting thing at the end of the day here is this. We'll always hear, economists, pundits, futurists, who will always be saying, oh my God, this is the technology that flips it all over, and we are not going to have jobs anymore. Machines are going to take jobs. That story has been said for hundreds, for years and years and years. That story has been said. So the reality is this. To answer that question, will your job be eliminated? Really, the honest answer is we really don't know. So thank you. That's it.